Hi, boys and girls. Welcome to another one of Adam's traveling truck talks. I'm in California, thick, heavy traffic, wreck right ahead, and heading to a gun course. The reason I want to talk to you today is what you're doing in the gun world bigger than you? I've started competing recently, doing some steel challenge stuff. I've done a little bit of IDPA, a little bit of USPSA, which I want to spend more time doing USPSA stuff, which I'll be doing after this trip. But I've noticed a trend in the gun world where people come to our training, they get really good at what we do. I mean, we're defenders. We've got some really good trainers with defenders. I'm just so proud of them. And we take folks who come to us, maybe they've never touched a gun in their life before, maybe they're already some ninja with a gun, and we're able to refine them and make them better at what they do. And oftentimes they leave that gun course all excited, jacked up about how well they did, the tests they passed, how well they're shooting, all the stuff they learned, and then they just kind of let it flutter away. And one of the things I've observed is that oftentimes we let it go because we forget how big it is, a thing that we're doing. Understand, the main reason I'm involved with guns in the first place is because I've seen too many victims of crime. I've been involved in some things with guns, and I see the desperate need for really good defensive training to be given to the everyday Joe Jane person, right? Yeah, I love it when I train cops, SWAT guys, military personnel of different, echelons. I enjoy that stuff. I truly enjoy that stuff. I love training warriors. At the same time, I love taking the average Joe Jane civilian, Grandma Good Cookies, whomever it is, the mom, the young dad, the grandpa, somebody, and I love turning them into warriors too, or at least being able to use a gun really, really well, very, very safely, for the defense of themselves and for others. I love that. I love that process. And to me, that's the biggest reason for all of this, is learn to defend yourself and others, because one, you're important, and the people who love you are even more important than you, and they need you here. So therefore, I want to train as many yous as I possibly can. But I see that training dissipate over time. People go away, they don't touch a gun for 6 months, for a year, 3 months, whatever it may be. And those skills that they just paid a lot of money to come see trainers to help them grow and enhance, they just fritter away. I mean, it's a perishable skill. And I think it's oftentimes because we go to this gun courses, we have so much fun with it, and it's a game, and we play or we train with it, and we oftentimes afterwards forget how big a thing it is. I guess I'd ask you to start considering your gun training as your ability to keep yourself alive, but also those you love. And preserve yourself for those who need you and love you. It's really defensive nature, right? It's always defensive nature. Yeah, you can go play, have fun with it, do the gun games and all. There's nothing wrong with it. That's great. It will enhance your skill. It absolutely will enhance your skill. You'll find where the brakes fall off. You'll find what you need to do that needs to fix itself in all sorts of competitions. But it still comes down to defending yourself and those you love. And if you take that context, that view of all the training that you went through was to enhance your abilities so you can defend yourself and others, and keep that long-term view all the time, I think it helps people stay disciplined. I know for me, when I get a little bit lax and maybe I go a couple days without training because I've just let my self-discipline wane a bit, I oftentimes need to remind myself that it's for my hot little wife. It's for my 2 cute little boys. It's so that they have a daddy, or so they still have a mommy, or that maybe somebody else I love gets to go home and be loved by the people that they need to be loved by and that they need to love. I'm asking you to constantly keep at the forefront of your mind the reason we have guns, besides the hunting and the sport, but the main reason we have guns is for the defense of life. And I'm asking you to consider start working on dry fire. Learn how to dry fire. In fact, I'm meeting with a guy later today who's a master at dry fire. And he's got a dry fire program I think I'm going to take a look at and maybe implement myself. And I do a lot of dry fire. Well, I've become a decent shooter too. I'd say a good one, a very good one. And a lot of that translates directly to dry fire. And that way I'm not spending a lot of money and time driving to range, shooting very expensive bullets, but I'm getting a lot of repetitions in. But it's always with the aspect of I might need to defend myself and I want to be very good at what I do. Yes, I'm a professional gun guy. And many out here that are listening to this are not professional gun people. In fact, most of you aren't. But still, you could spend 5 minutes a day. Just take 5 minutes at the beginning of your day. Download that gun safely. Verify it's downloaded safely. Put the rounds off somewhere else. Get a barrel blocker. Verify that gun is safe. Do some type of repetitions of draw and maybe trigger presses at a safe area. As a police officer, I made it a habit of mine. I always downloaded my gun. And before I went on duty, I did 10 draw strokes in the large mirror that was in our briefing or in our locker room. And when I got done, I'd do 10 more draw strokes. And now I always kind of hid it because you weren't allowed to do that. So I'd sneak off when nobody was around. I'd do that. And then later when I went home and took my gun off, right, because I would change. I'd go into my civilian clothes and conceal my gun when I went home. I oftentimes, almost always, would do, again, 10 draw strokes, dry fire trigger presses, put it away, load it back up, put it away, and then before I left the next day to go back to work or wherever it is I was going, before I'd put a gun on, oftentimes, not always, but the vast majority of the time, I would again do 10 dry fire reps. I'd download the gun, do everything safely, and do my dry fire reps. And then when I get into work, again, as I uniformed up, put on the Batman suit, got ready to go to work, I'd do 10 dry fire reps. When I got off, 10 dry fire reps. And I was always doing, on average, 20 to 40 dry fire reps a day. It didn't take any time at all. And then those times when I needed a gun, boom, it was just there. The bigger picture is understand your gun training is far bigger than you. I'm asking you for the love of those that need you as gun people to take the responsible step of continuing your training, and you can do it for free. Dry fire at home. You can buy a Mantis system. I have one. I have several. In fact, I have Laser Academy. I have the Mantis system that helps you diagnose all sorts of things with what you're doing in your dry fire stuff. It's a lot of fun. It helps. There's all sorts of different ways to do this, but understand that gun is bigger than you. It means far more than you. You'll probably never ever use it, but if you do, it's a very high risk, high litigious situation where you must be exactly right. And if we just simply have a gun as a whoopee, as our feel-good talisman that we don't ever practice with, then it's almost a useless thing. And it just makes you feel good instead of actually being what it's supposed to be, a defensive life tool. And for a defensive life tool where the skills are perishable, both physically and mentally, that is something we need to practice on a continual basis. Hey, gun owner, I beg you, start doing good, safe dry fire. I'll go through a video on how to set up to do safe dry fire, how to tear it back down, how to reload the gun, everything like that. Or you can go find them on like Active Self-Protection Extra YouTube channel, or on the Complete Combatants YouTube channel, or on ours. I'll have one up there soon. But learn how to dry fire, because really, again, it's about more than you. And that gun that you need to be carrying, I'm going to ask you to start carrying, but only with training, with practice. And it's deeply necessary. Simply the message for today. So I'm just creeping along the traffic in California. I can fill a lot of time with words, so I'm going to stop honking off at you. But understand that gun, once again, is far bigger than you. And when you constantly remind yourself of the big picture of why for that gun and the desperate need for responsible training, I think we as a gun culture can do a lot better, and we can save our lives or others more, and we can be far safer with the gun and definitely better with it. All right, Adam with Defenders USA. Take care.